Hello, how's everyone? I got to work early. I left work early because it was so slow. I just did one YouTube. I'm waiting for permission to upload it because it's a cover tune, Always and Forever. And I'm doing it late. My roommates are like sleeping, so I gotta be careful. I don't want to talk too loud. But anyway, I'm not gonna talk too loud. I'm definitely on the other side of the house, on the other side of the apartment. I want to talk about the blood issue. I was faced with the blood issue, and I said, no blood. And that's the topic. I'm going to put it on as that topic. But I did mention it in my last video. So I have to say what happened. I was married, and I was living with I was living with my wife again. Because I'm talking back then. I'm not married anymore. It's my ex-wife, but I can tell the story like this because, back then, it's a long story. It's all the way in the back, in the beginning of these tapes. But this one is just talking about the train of thought that we're going on now as far as this YouTube is concerned, and how things are in the congregation, and you go into the boxes. But how can it tie into what the conversation that we have right now is that seeing myself and what I believed in and how was my mindset when I was Jehovah's Witness. And these YouTubes have helped me so much because I can see better, who I was, and who I am now. So it has helped me a lot better. So the blood issue, I don't have to have this set up because the story is in like detail as far as the situations I was in and everything in my first YouTubes a long time ago. A long time ago since I recorded it. And I was leaving for work, okay, and the lady, her friend that we were living with also, we were all living together. That's in the back. I don't want to do so much, I forgot the word for it, something. I just want to tell the story as far as, how I felt and everything. But anyway, she goes, I'm not going to use her name. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to use her name. Your wife is sick. She's bleeding, she was saying, hemorrhage, and she says, I'm going to take her to the doctor. We're going to go to the doctor. I don't really know the specifics right now, if I went up or something, I don't know. But anyway, she went to the hospital, and what had happened was that it was another one of her miscarriage. I don't know if it was miscarriage, but that's in the stories, you know what I mean? Because she didn't want any children, she didn't like children. I'm not going to say anything, but everything is in the front. But anyway, she said she was hemorrhaging. So anyway, the thing I remember now, because, we're just trying to stay on this line, was that I found myself in the hospital with her, and I knew that she couldn't have any blood. So I'm trying to think, did the doctors talk to me first? I knew that she couldn't have any blood, so what I was doing is I was giving her some kind of like kidney beans. I bought her kidney beans and things like that to build up her blood. Like it was like a Jehovah Witness thing, you know. And I told her to eat them. She was eating them and everything. And because I can't, you know, do the story like in detail, but I'm just getting the points out for this line that we're in right now. I found myself with the doctor, and it was basically, okay, we found a doctor to do the operation because she needed an operation. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, doctor. And he said he would do the operation, and then the anesthesiologist had to talk to me, because that's where the problem was, because the anesthesiologist told me that the operation most likely will go well, but we don't know if she could come back, you know what I mean? And that was the problem. So the anesthesiologist had to talk to me and say, are you sure you don't want any blood? I go, no blood. So I signed the documents. And he was with me alone. He goes, well, you know, she could die if you don't do the blood. Okay, so now I gotta figure out, now I can see how my mindset is, since I'm developing with you all, you know what I mean? And right now, like, I'm like in the room, I remember him talking to me. I wasn't afraid, but okay, as far as Jehovah is concerned, I mean, I didn't feel anything. I mean, I didn't feel anything about a connection to a Jehovah. Ritual, like what we're supposed to do, that was really strong. So I'm saying the teaching was stronger than the Jehovah feeling, okay? God, I didn't know him. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't like now, you know, if it happened, I would pray before I go to talk to the doctor, while I'm going to the doctor, and after I'm going to the doctor. After I leave the doctor, you know, I'll be praying all the time. But I can see that praying to God was like almost like a ritual. I mean, because you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to say this, you have to say this, and you're like talking to someone who is just so like in a high place or whatever. I mean, it's like a king or something. I mean, not that he's not a king, but it's more like a person, okay, like a human person. That's what I can say he was like, to where a real like person that that has a big power. I mean, big power, and it's hard to talk to. A person hard to talk to. So that's why it was almost like a drudgery. I'm saying how I'm feeling, you know, while I'm in the operating room. I mean, while I'm talking with the doctor. So it's like that. It's not somebody who I could go to so easily, you know. So I didn't, you know, those were not my feelings. The major reason why I said no blood was because of the teaching, and I believed the teaching. Okay, that was the way I was taught. So he said no blood, but there was something, and he says okay, and he told me several times. He was very adamant about letting me know the complications. So, but there's one thing about me, is that I'm very, very, if I really want something, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm almost sure that God saw my energy, you know what I mean? And he saw, because there was a love there, okay, for a human being. We weren't really love, like love. But there was a human being, and she was my friend, you know what I mean? And that's what took over, okay? So then after I left the doctors, I was never like afraid. And I just felt like I had to do something. And that's another one that I show you, like in the world, what they call the world, which everybody's in the world, like I said, is like it's like when you're without Jehovah Witnesses, the major thing that you have to learn is that you have to do things. I mean, you can pray to God and everything, but God gives you the energy to do something. And that's the whole trick. I mean, that's the whole difference with the Jehovah Witness. The Jehovah Witness, you just sit back and, like, you know what I mean, let things happen. That's the way my surroundings were and what I learned from the Jehovah Witnesses. So anyway, I went, like I said, I even slept there. I mean, they gave me a room by my wife so I could make sure about her. So I made her feel also that, I cared about her. She knew I cared about her because we were friends like 5 years before. We were friends a long time before we got married. So I was treating her like I would treat, everybody, you know what I mean? So anyway, it just looks so bad. Okay, so anyway, after that, I kept feeding her these things and stuff like that. And I met the doctor when I was short, and he was telling me how the operation was, and she was telling me how the operation was. But it was nice when I found out that a doctor was going to do it, because we didn't have insurance. And the doctor was like, he would do it, And it's very beautiful person. And so anyway, her friend, which was, I can't, there's a word, but I'm not going to use it for her friend. But anyway, she went into the operation room and she went to get operated on. I'm not telling you days, I'm just, laying it out there, what's happening. And I was waiting, like this is the day of the operation. She's in the operation, but in the daytime. And I was sitting down with her friend, which I'm not going to even say. But I remember being by myself, okay? And my sister with my best friend, they had a little walk over, and I was sitting in the waiting room. And she came with my best friend. And she was going, you can't just sit and worry about everything. Just go and get something to eat or something. But her nerves are like, really, like, everything's going to be all right. That's another thing that Jehovah's Witnesses that I see, is that they think everything is just, going to go their way. And you don't have to do anything. But that's not true. I mean, like, you can only do so much, but you can continually do things, okay? So I said, no, I can't, you know what I mean? I have to wait here. And her friend was over here, and I remember getting really intense. I don't remember calling Jehovah. You know how they tell you Jehovah, Jehovah, Jehovah. It's not, I can't even feel a time when I felt that, okay? I didn't know how to really talk to God about it. So, I was just there, and I felt like this urge, like going into I put it in detail before, into the operating room, like concentrating to where I even felt like I was like there, like God, let me be there. Now I'm saying God, but it was like that. It was like so powerful, but I didn't feel any strain or anything. It was, okay, I know now I can see why God would help me. It's because of love, because God is love. And even if you don't believe in God, but if you love, that's like believing in God, because God is love, whether you believe it or not, He's love. So that's what got me this feeling, you love someone and you want them to be all right. And that's like a prayer, you know what I mean? So I felt myself like in the operating room, like really wanting this thing to work. It's almost like I was there, seriously. I mean, and with the love and everything. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And then the doctors came out and he goes, she's all right, she's all right. He goes, it's a miracle, it's a miracle. You know what I mean? And so he came out, it's a miracle, you know what I mean? And then I ran to go to where the operating room was. And she came out the operating room and I said, oh, Jenny, whatever. And when I put my hand out to her, she threw up in my hand. I didn't even care. She was like, awoke, like fully. I do so much language work. I do so much language here and there that the words are just like, you know what I mean? So anyway, she was like, she was fully aware of her surroundings. And I put my hand, and she was going to, no, I know now. When she came out, I could see that she saw me and she was getting ready to throw up. So I put my hand there and she threw up in my hand. I didn't even care. I was just so happy that everything worked out. So then she went into intensive care. And I went into intensive care and the nurse was there and she goes, okay, well, because you're not really supposed to be there when you're in intensive care or something like that. But I said, make sure, because her mouth was like drooling. I said, if her mouth drools, can you please wipe it because make her feel better, And she goes, yes, I'm going to do that and such and such. Anyway, she had a full recovery. But I was living with my parents then. No, I wasn't living with my parents. That's another story. But the reason why I say that is because I remember going over my parents' house and my stepfather going, oh, I went to the meeting and I told them that you said no blood, and the doctor said it's a miracle, it's a miracle. And he told me that, and I was like, I didn't have any feeling. I can see myself now because I'm thinking back. And I knew it was something else that helped, something else that saved her. And from what I see now is the love. And that's something new that we don't even think about. I mean, because pretty much, I went over everything in my whole life. And I'm not saying, I just know a lot now, okay? And now I can analyze it, and I know that what saved her now, even when I said it before in my first videos, I still know more than that. And now I can see that if you have love for someone, it's like a prayer. If you use your love, if you can say, oh, I love this person so much and I want my friend to be all right, that's a prayer. Because you're actually using something that came from something that we didn't create, okay? The love between each other, okay? And so anyway, there was a problem there because I wasn't really, I was really not into the congregation, okay? And I could see normally that it wasn't, I didn't feel like, oh wow, no blood, and now I really got to stick with Jehovah Witnesses. It wasn't like that. I was very honest with my feelings. And I really appreciated the doctor. That's one thing that really I saw too. It was that he was really a beautiful person because we didn't have insurance. And that's another thing that God helped with. I mean, his sincereness to help someone also, because he knew that we were like spiritually sick, most likely, some kind of sickness, because we didn't understand a lot of things. So he helped us, even though it was harder for him to do the operation. The anesthesiologist didn't feel like, oh, well, they're not going to have blood, and this can happen because I've faced with this, to where the anesthesiologists say, oh, this person don't want blood, okay, well, then I'm not going to do such and such a thing. It's a human reaction, and I've had it happen to me with doctors, so I have to think that too. So there's so many things that's involved in saving lives and helping people. And I could see, it's one thing I could see back then, that it wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. It didn't help me to get closer to the Jehovah's Witnesses. And it did not faze me whatsoever. But the weirdest thing was that, okay, then she started doing well. All those factors are a point. Say if the doctor believed in God, okay, did the doctor believe in God? Maybe the doctor prayed. Maybe the anesthesiologist prayed. There's a lot of praying going on, you know what I mean? It's not just one person. It's not just what the Jehovah's Witnesses think. So anyway, all those factors come into it. I was just really happy. I wasn't saying it was me, but because I didn't know how God worked, okay? So I didn't say thank you God, such and such and such and all this. That's another thing that God sees, is that I was truly happy that everything worked out, okay? I was truly happy, and that's a God-like feeling, okay, which God would also see. And so I can say that it wasn't the blood so much. It wasn't my belief that the blood, 100%, it wasn't my belief that I said no blood, that everything worked out, okay? It was all those factors. And because I ended up, still not going to the meetings, it didn't like move me. It took me further away from the brothers, from the organization, because I actually saw what happened. And I talked to the doctor afterwards. Me and my wife talked to the doctor afterwards. And he was just, I cannot believe it, he goes. You're walking and everything, and the operation has not been over for a week. But, another thing too is that, like I said, I do things. I made sure this woman was going to make it. I followed all the directions, and I 100% wanted her to feel better. And that in itself really helps too. And that's another thing that God would help you with, because I was honest that I really wanted this person. I never got upset. I never felt any bad feelings. I just wanted this person to be all right, and it was in my hands. So I made sure it was all right. And after the operation, she wanted to go to her country, and I called one of my friends. I just did everything she wanted, and I called one of my friends to loan me, which I never paid back, to $800 for her trip to her country. And I did that, and that happened too. Everything happened there was things I did for him, but I'm not going to explain it. But he did it, like I said, when I asked him as a friend, he sent me the money, and I got her ticket because that's what she wanted. The only thing I could think of was her safety and her health. And the doctor said maybe she wouldn't be able to take the flight, but I know that she was able to take the flight. I just know certain things, you know what I mean? And she was able to take the flight. And you know, after she got back and everything, she wanted to sue the doctor because she went to her country and her doctor said that he did something wrong or something. And I said, there's no way in the world that I'm going to sue the doctor. There's no way in the world, because I can see what happened. I mean, I could see that this doctor saved your life, and you want to sue the doctor. I mean, and even we had to talk to my lawyer, and she was with me, and she mentioned, I want to see if I could sue this doctor. And I go, we're not going to sue the doctor. I told my lawyer, there's no way in the world. I said, you are all right, and you made it through the operation. But anyway, so I'm saying there's so many factors, and I'm glad that I followed my heart. So one thing I learned here is that it's not just, I mean, even if you're in a dire situation, it's not just the blood or no blood. It has to do with the doctor, your surroundings, your family, if somebody cares about you. So it's really a lot of things. And one thing that I can say that the organization is a negative is that they just sit back and just like, okay, we'll let Jehovah take care of it. It doesn't work like that. Thank you very much. And we'll continue this. We're doing our best. And I'm doing my best. And thank you for everything.